Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to sift through the data and give you the essential insights. Today, we're plunging into, well, something that might sound a bit niche at first glance, the grain hulling machine market. But trust me, it's actually fundamental to our global food systems. Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to explore the growth of this market, starting back in 2021, looking through 2025, and then projecting all the way out to 2033. Our guide today is the Grain Hulling Machine Market Report 2021-2033 from Cognitive Market Research. So we've got a really solid data-driven picture.
Yeah.
And why should you care about grain hulling machines? Well, it's all about efficiency, food processing, and really understanding the big economic shifts happening just beneath the surface of, well, what's on our plates.
Absolutely. And what's truly fascinating here is just the sheer momentum this market has globally. It's not just ticking up slightly, it's showing strong, consistent acceleration. If you look at the numbers, back in 2021, global sales revenue was already over $2.2 billion USD.
Okay.
By 2025, that's expected to climb past $2.8 billion. And looking out to 2033, the projection is, well, an impressive $4.4 billion USD.
Wow, that's quite a jump.
It is. It translates to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of almost 5.9% across that whole period. And that strong global growth rate, it's not just a number, it really signifies this massive worldwide push for more efficient grain processing. Super crucial for feeding a growing population and, boosting agricultural productivity everywhere. That's like a fundamental retooling of our food infrastructure.
That's a huge leap, like you said, for machinery many of us probably never even picture. And what's really compelling, as you hinted, is that it's not just one uniform global trend, is it? We're seeing quite different growth stories in different regions.
Exactly. Each part of the world is contributing in its own way.
That's where it gets really interesting, I think, breaking it down regionally. So let's start with North America, a very established agricultural region.
Right.
What's the story there? Are they still finding ways to grow?
They are. North America, despite, its maturity, is still a major driver. It provides a really solid foundation for this market. The revenue there grew from $646 million USD back in 2021, and it's projected to nearly double, hitting $1.2 billion by 2033. That keeps it at a pretty healthy KGR of about 5.3%.
Okay, so solid.
Yeah. And within North America, the U.S. obviously leads in just sheer size. It's growing steadily, just over 5% CAGR. But what's kind of interesting is Canada. It actually shows even stronger growth potential, projected at a robust 6.345% CAGR.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, moving from around $81 million up to over $164 million. Mexico also shows a solid contribution, around 5.86% CAGR. So this continued expansion, it isn't really about farming vast new areas. It's more about that constant drive for efficiency, tech upgrades, optimizing what's already there.
Right, getting more out of the existing infrastructure.
Exactly. Higher throughput, better quality processing.
That makes total sense. Constant improvement, even when you're established. Okay, from North America, let's hop across the Atlantic to Europe. Ancient farming traditions, but facing modern demands. Are we seeing similar drivers there? Or maybe different things pushing growth?
Europe's interesting. It shows stable expansion overall, but yeah, there are some definite pockets of faster growth. The whole region's market is projected to grow from just over $422 million USD in 2021 to more than $802 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 5.4%.
Okay.
Now, the traditional big players, Germany, the UK, Russia, they show steady growth, sort of in that 4.5% to 4.8% range.
Pretty standard.
Right. But then you look elsewhere. France, for instance, is seeing what the report calls remarkable growth, a CAGR over 6.1%, so more than doubling its market value. And even more notable, perhaps, is the rest of Europe category. This includes places like Italy, Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg.
The diverse group.
Very diverse, and that segment is really surging. It shows one of the fastest growth rates in the region, nearly 7% CAGR, tripling its market value from $93 million to over $200 million.
Wow, nearly 7% for the rest of Europe. What do you think is behind that?
It suggests, targeted investments in new ag tech, maybe in specialized grain processing or adapting to changing consumer tastes for different types of grains across the continent. It feels less about just raw volume and more about diversified, maybe value-added processing.
That nuance is really striking, especially that rest of Europe growth. Okay, let's turn now to the Asia-Pacific region, often a powerhouse. What makes it the fastest growing region overall for these machines? What does that signal?
Yeah, that's a really important question. Why is Asia Pacific leading the pack here? The numbers are pretty clear. In 2021, the revenue was already substantial, nearly $894 million USD, but it's projected to soar to $1.8 billion by 2033. That's a strong CAGR of 6.26%. China, as you might expect, leads in absolute dollar terms, moving from $276 million up to over $548 million. But check this out. India shows the strongest individual growth rate in the region. It's set to nearly triple its market, going from about $130 million to $284 million. That's a powerful CAGR of just over 7%.
7% for India. That's significant.
It really is, and Singapore also shows high growth, over 6.8%. So what's driving it? It's not just huge populations, though that's part of it. It seems to be this confluence of factors: rapid urbanization, creating demand for processed foods, government incentives pushing agricultural modernization, and frankly, a huge potential for efficiency gains.
Right.
All that translates directly into needing more sophisticated, high-throughput hulling machines for rice, pulses, cereals, processing them on an industrial scale.
That picture in Asia Pacific really is one of massive transformation, isn't it? Both industrial and agricultural. Okay, let's shift focus south now to another really dynamic continent. South America, are we seeing similar surges there, given its role as a major global food producer?
Absolutely. South America is definitely another region showing significant surging potential. Its market value was around $147 million USD in 2021, projected to hit over $320 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of almost 6.9%.
Pretty high growth, too.
Very much so. Brazil, no surprise, dominates in total value. But what's really eye-catching is Argentina. It shows the fastest growth in the region, an impressive CAGR of nearly 7.4%.
Argentina leading the growth pace. Interesting.
Yeah, more than doubling its market from about $20 million to over $45 million. And beyond those two, you've got Colombia, Peru, Chile, and the rest of South America, all contributing significantly. That rest of South America category is also growing fast, over 7.2% CAGR.
So broad-based growth across the continent.
It really underscores how important efficient grain processing is becoming for a region that's such a key global supplier. It's about optimizing exports, sure, but also meeting rising domestic demand for processed grains.
Fascinating to see Argentina taking the lead there in growth rate.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn now to the Middle East, a region with, a very diverse economic and agricultural landscape, often facing unique food production challenges. What's the story there for hulling machines?
In the Middle East, the report shows more, let's say, measured progress. Steady, but maybe driven by slightly different priorities. The market was valued around $83 million USD in 2021, projected to reach nearly $142 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 4.4%.
Okay, a bit lower than other regions.
A bit lower, yes. Saudi Arabia is the largest contributor. However, the UAE actually shows stronger growth within the region, a CAGR of almost 5.5%, perhaps reflecting more concentrated investment in modern food processing infrastructure there. And you also have contributions from Turkey, Egypt, Qatar. So while the growth rate isn't as, explosive as Asia Pacific or South America, it does reflect ongoing strategic investment in food processing infrastructure. And that's absolutely crucial for local food security, like you said, especially where large-scale grain farming might be less common. Makes processing imported grains or specialty local crops really vital.
That's a great point about food security driving investment, even without massive local cultivation. Okay, and now for our final region. And this one, well, it really seems to epitomize growth and potential. Tell us about Africa.
Africa, yes, it genuinely stands out. It has the fastest overall growth globally for this market. It's an incredible story of expansion and really transformative development. The market there was just under $42.5 million USD in 2021. Tiny compared to others, but it's forecast to reach over $120 million by 2033.
Wow.
It's an incredible CAGR of 9.6%, nearly double digit.
Almost 10%.
Exactly. Within Africa, Nigeria is seeing very strong growth. South Africa, too, both expanding rapidly at KGRs over 9.2%. But here's the kicker. The rest of Africa category shows the strongest growth, not just in Africa, but globally. Globally. It's projected to nearly triple its market value, from about $20.6 million to over $60 million by 2033. That's an astonishing CGR of almost 10%, 9.985% to be exact.
That is staggering growth across the continent.
It really signifies this major shift towards modern farming practices, increasing mechanization, and crucially, a rising demand for locally processed food. It's more than just a statistic. It represents real change, less food loss after harvest, more stable supplies, new economic opportunities in rural areas, that relied on much less efficient manual methods before.
Wow. Africa's growth story is just incredibly compelling, such a powerful upward curve. It really speaks to the dynamism there. Okay, so let's bring it all together. We've looked at all these regional narratives, all these numbers. When you look at the big picture, what does this all mean for our global food system?
Well, if we connect all these dots, the main conclusion from the report is crystal clear. The grain hulling machine market is on a really strong, undeniable growth path. And it's fueled by two key things. First, the increasing adoption of technology in agriculture. And second, this growing global need for better efficiency all along the food chain.
Right.
And those regional growth rates we talked about, especially that explosive expansion in Asia Pacific and Africa, they really mirror these broader, deeper trends. We're talking about huge agricultural development efforts, a global push for mechanization to boost yields and cut waste.
And changing diets, too.
Exactly. And that surging demand for processed foods, especially in rapidly urbanizing areas. So this expansion, it isn't just about selling machinery. It has really profound implications for global food security, making food more reliable, more accessible. And it's a significant boost for economic development in these modernizing regions. It just highlights how critical efficiency is at every single step.
What an incredible deep dive into a market that, yeah, maybe seemed unassuming at first, but is clearly a powerhouse driving some major global changes. We've gone through the numbers, seen the different stories from North America's optimization to Africa's incredible ascent. It really highlights the vitality and, frankly, the strategic importance of this sector. Thanks for joining us on this exploration today.
And maybe this raises an important question for you, the listener. As you think about your next meal, just consider for a moment the unseen machinery, this huge, evolving global industry working behind the scenes. What does the rapid growth of something specific like a grain hulling machine tell us about the future of food, the future of technology, and how it connects to the global challenges, but also the opportunities we face in feeding billions? Something to think about. We hope you continue exploring these links between seemingly niche markets and the major global shifts that affect us all.